And welcome to the Steelers Depot live stream here on this Monday, September 11th, week one in the books for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it's not the way you want things to go if you're a Steelers fan. As always, I am Alex Kozora. Joining me is Bryan for the next hour until 8 p.m. Eastern Time, answering as many of your Steelers questions as possible. And I'm guessing you guys have a bunch today here as we get the season underway. Pittsburgh dropping their opener in miserable fashion, 30-7 to San Francisco. Dave, how are you? And I mean, I'm sure I know how are you because of this game and the Heyward situation and everything, but how you holding up, I should say?
I think I'm going to make it.
We might need the full rendition of your doom, despair, and agony song.
Gloom, despair, and agony on me. But normally I wish people in the chat a happy Monday. Try to chime in on there, but I'm going to leave that alone this time around here. So yeah, I bet a lot of people got a lot of questions, and I know I've made it through about 3/4 of the all 22 offensive tape. Haven't hit the defensive tape today. Obviously, it's a busy day of news and interviews with the Steelers, and some unfortunate news at that.
Yeah, and we'll start with the big news here. As you guys see on screen, according to the Post-Gazette's Jerry Dulac, Cam Heyward will undergo surgery and miss up to 8 weeks with the groin injury sustained yesterday against the 49ers. There's been some disputing of that report. I believe ESPN saying that surgery is not guaranteed yet, but bottom line is the odds of him landing on IR are extremely high, and there's a good chance he's going to need surgery. So last year it was week one, TJ Watt. This year it's week one and Cam Heyward, and the Cleveland Browns are coming to town on Monday night. But we're here to answer your questions, which I'm sure are partially, if not fully, Heyward related until 8 p.m. If you guys could
we're going to attempt to answer the questions.
As many as we can here without the cursing that we may get here in the chat, the people who are frustrated. But yeah, if you guys could like the stream, subscribe to the channel, would really appreciate that. Bring more people into the live stream. And if you want a guarantee of your question being asked and answered by Dave and myself, because we may be getting many of those, you can send us a super chat, no obligation to do so. So Dave, let's dive right on in. We'll start with our friend Mike Adesso, who says, brutal news about Cam, a real kick in the, how do you say that?
Groin.
Yeah, there's the joke here from the Will Ferrell movie that I'm forgetting right now. But anyway, you get the idea. If he goes on IR and Leal misses time, would it be smart to maybe snag Wormley off the Panthers practice squad? He seems to be back playing. Yeah, Wormley just signed reportedly hours ago to the Panthers practice squad. What are your thoughts on that, Dave?
Not having a lot of news on his update and process, and obviously he remained unsigned until now. Hasn't played a lick of football and really practiced up until this point. I'm not going to never say never, but I mean, if you did something like that, don't you have better options already on your roster at the time? And that's no disrespect to Chris Wormley, who, before he went down injured with that knee injury, was playing pretty good. Had a pretty good game, I think. Matter of fact, against the Ravens. Before going down with that injury, if memory serves me. Maybe it was a game before. But look, he was out on the street for all this time for a reason. And look, at this point, with him being on the Panthers practice squad, if you signed him off of their practice squad onto your 53-man roster, I mean, that's the only way that you could sign him is to the 53. You would have to guarantee him three game checks in total. And
the roster spot, right?
And the roster spot as well too. So not only would you have to pay him for 3 weeks, he would count. Let's say you got through the first week and you didn't like where he was at or whatnot. It's not like you could just cut him and open up a roster spot there. And plus, he's sight unseen at this point too, right? So you wouldn't get a chance to work him out if they had intentions of doing anything remotely close to that. I would have thought that maybe today they would have brought him in for a workout and maybe signed him to their own practice squad or something like that. So I understand the dot connecting there, but I would like to hope that this team has better options on their own practice squad at this point in time.
I agree. I think you said it well. I get the point about Wormley, the Steelers connection, the history, but the D-line depth was something we talked up throughout the summer. They have some internal options. Loudermilk, Armand Watch should get a hat. Maybe they call up Braden Fajoko to plug the middle. That would make sense against the Browns. So no one's Kim Hayward, and there's a concern about the high-end defensive linemen that are on this team. How many of those guys do they have? Ogunjobi, when he's healthy, can be one of those guys. Benton's promising, but still playing in his second career regular season game on Monday night, so there's not that high-end type of talent, but I think they're going to stick with their internal options right now. All right, got a couple of super chats I want to get to. We'll begin with Kyle Smith, $5. Thank you so much. Says, seen the hit to the back of the head Kenny took on the third play. Pro Football Focus rated Moore the worst offensive tackle of the week. Get that bum out of here before he kills Kenny. I don't remember the play specifically. Do you remember the play where Kenny hit the back of his head? I guess on the sack it would have been.
Yeah, I'm guessing it would have been on that early sack then, right?
That was the third play on that 3 and out, but I don't remember the actual moment there. I have not gotten to go through Moore's tape. I know he graded out really poorly per PFF. I think I saw some stuff live about him still struggling with speed to power and those bull rushes that have always given him the most amount of fit. So we'll see. Core fours, he's in concussion protocol. Don't know his status, and if he's not available, then Moore's going to have to start probably at right tackle. Broderick Jones goes left tackle, and they're facing Myles Garrett and company. So we'll just hang on and we'll keep watching. All right, got another $5 super chat from our friend David Kapoor, who says, can we get one more gloom, agony, and despair spooky read from Dave in light of the bad loss and the new bad Cam news? You want to hit it one more time, Dave?
I'll pick up the second. Deep, dark depression, excessive misery. Oh, if I had no bad luck, I've had no luck at all. Oh, gloom, despair, and agony on me. It comes from, that's before a lot of y'all's time. Mm-hmm. It came from an old show, Hee Haw. Go to YouTube and mess around on gloom. Just Roy Clark and Buck Owens and
those are the Grandpa Cowboys, right? Is that Cowboy stuff?
No, I mean it was a country themed kind of a variety show, if you will, back in I guess it would have been the 70s. I don't know if it made it into the 80s or not, but I'm showing it was where I'm from. It was really popular, but it was obviously a national show as well too.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever heard the second verse. I don't know if we've ever gotten it so bad to be at the second verse. It just kind of tells you where things are at. It is week one. As bad as that loss was, it is week one, and perspective is key. They beat the Browns. I know that may be a challenge, but if they beat the Browns, we're all feeling good again. The sky's not falling anymore. I just want to put that perspective out there early in the show.
Hopefully the stream number don't drop real quickly there with me singing early in the show.
Just went to -7. Didn't know it could do that, but no, just kidding. We got a great crowd on here tonight.
Hey, that's only 8 yards less than the Steelers had in net yards through the first 5 drives. Where's my blood?
Yeah, he's here all week, guys. Try the veal. Tip your waitress. Mutated Genome. Hello, Alex and Dave. Without seeing all 22 yet, which player, excluding Pickett or position group, disappointed you the most? O-line, D-line, corner, or other? Yeah, I still want to go through it more. I mean, the answer is probably the Dave Bryan yes to the disappointment of this game. I've gotten a little bit better look at the offensive line, and I mean, there were opportunities for this offense to make plays. Okay, now not as many as you would like, and a few of them I think were pressure related. Heck, that one that I put up on YouTube on that three-man bunch on the right side there, kind of running a switch combination with Calvin Austin on the over there. If the protection holds up on that, that's probably a touchdown. And but pressure forced. That was the one that forced Kenny out of the pocket to his right, and then threw a long, high and out of bounds on the sideline there. Yeah, I mean, I know the 49ers can run the ball really effectively, but I just thought the run defense was really poor. I know that, I know Heyward being out is certainly a factor, but even when Heyward, it's not like Heyward left and the 49ers started to move the football. It was like 14-0 before Heyward got hurt in that game. So it's not just because of his absence. I thought the run defense might be a bit better overall. So I think just kind of the front seven against the run was not, see that 65-yard touchdown that was just really, really brutal. Just stuff Pittsburgh normally does not allow. Was really disappointing overall.
It was a complete team effort, and probably, you probably have to point your fingers at some cornerback play in this one as well too, obviously.
Oh yeah, I mean, Peterson wasn't good. Wallace wasn't good. I mean, very few guys. If your name wasn't TJ Watt, kind of Keanu Benton, McFarland, you didn't have a good day yesterday. Speaking of Benton, Matthew T, his first ever super chat, thank you for that, says thoughts on Benton being able to play more than just nose tackle, really hoping he can sooner rather than later. I mean, he
We're
did
going
it
to
at,
find out probably.
well, I think he's going to end up playing just a bunch of actual nose
Yeah.
tackle. He's going to work in sub package and nickel as he did yesterday, and you'll probably lean on that a bit more. But I think in base 3-4, he's still going to be the nose tackle. You're going to have Ogunjobi and Leal and Loudomoke and Watts. Even Adams was playing some defensive end yesterday, and so that's probably more of where those guys will try to replace Heyward as opposed to Benton doing it. But of course, if those guys are playing out more, Adams in particular, it's going to mean more snaps for Benton. So he's going to play a lot, and that was maybe one small encouraging sign yesterday was Benton's seemingly good play. I'm still going through the tape. Hopefully we'll have a video on him for tomorrow for you guys on the channel and for Steelers Depot. But bottom line is Benton should see an uptick in snaps. It just may not come replacing Hayward's spot 1-to-1.
Grow up game for him for sure. And I think according to your charting that I read earlier this morning, I think he was on the field for 20. I think he had 29 overall snaps, and either 28, either all 29 or 28 of the 29 came when Cam Heyward was not on the field.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And so we'll keep looking at it. It's a good opportunity for him. It's just trying to replace Cam, man. Run defense, leadership, effort, pass rush, the power that he has. It's obviously not a one-man job there. All right, got Live Loyal who says, I know it's one game, as they say. Does the outcome of yesterday's performance change the outcome of your predictions for the season? Good question. I was going to ask you today on the podcast. We kind of ran long there, Dave. You were, 11-6 playoff victory. Does this game sway you at all?
It certainly is attempting to. And then, man, you throw in the news about Cam Heyward now. I mean, even though I think we talked about it on the podcast, kind of expected him to at least miss this game Monday night, maybe another game or two. I don't know. In the back of my head, I was thinking maybe he's going to miss 3 or 4 games, but now we're talking about 7 possibly, who knows, depending on how surgery goes and rehab and stuff like that. I mean, and then just, look at the way this team play. I mean, they got a bunch of guys banged up too. You got Deontay Johnson dealing with a hamstring. Well, Mike Tomlin's going to have to spend probably 3 or 4 minutes going down that injury list on Tuesday there. I guess the short answer to the question would actually be yes.
Okay.
I would, if you gave me the first game to look at and then come back and tell you what my season prediction is, yeah, I think it would be different. Are
you in not make the playoffs territory, or just not win a playoff game territory, or 11 wins? Where do you think the biggest change would be?
I'm definitely, well, look, I didn't have them winning that game against the 49ers anyway,
Right.
but
Right.
I mean, the byproduct of all this makes you really reconsider. Now, once again, it's one game, but it wasn't pretty. I expected them to be in that game yesterday.
Mhm.
I would say that I would at the very least be at most a 10 win season right now, and would have my fingers crossed they would get into the playoffs. I mean, I don't know. You got to be careful here with first games and
Right.
all like this, but with what we saw, and then the injuries, and what Cleveland did, and what Baltimore did, and I even said in my prediction that I thought maybe to go 3-3 in the AFC North, and I just think if you're realistically looking at what all happened on Sunday, and then the byproduct with the injuries and all, I don't see how you can't back off of, or at least how I couldn't back off of what my original prediction is.
You're trying to sway me at the same time. I'm going to stick with my initial prediction, which was 10-7, make the playoffs as a wild card team, the third team in the AFC North, and be one and done. I'm going to stick with that. I'm not going to let week 1 sway me that much. It more so what would sway me is the Hayward injury, obviously, more than I think just losing to the 49ers. If you lost to San Francisco and Hayward was healthy, then I think I'd still feel steadfast, probably a little bit more closer to moving here, but they beat the Browns, they're 1-1, things are good again. If they lose to the Browns, then I'm going to start saying, okay, this is, barely a playoff team, and they got to climb out of this hole. They like to dig themselves every single season.
Look, if you beat the Browns at home on a Monday night, and not just beat them, give a reverse ass whipping to them.
I'll take a win, however you can get it. Just win.
But I mean, if you have an impressive win, I mean, the whole tone,
Mm-hmm.
and then if you follow that up, obviously you got the Raiders and the Texans, and what if we're sitting here talking to these folks a couple of weeks from now and they're a 2-1 team,
Right. Possible, for sure. All right, next question. Real quick comment from Mike Adesso. How did Calvin Austin look? I still got to watch a lot of underneath stuff. Looked fine. Got a lot of snaps his first NFL game. Can't forget about that in terms of meaningful regular season action. So good building block for him, and may have to play more if Deontay can't play. I got a $5 super chat from Tim Chase, our friend, who's been in many of these live streams. Asks a difficult question, but a fair one. Is this the beginning of the end of Cam's career? Man, I hate thinking about that stuff at all. I mean, I don't like to count that guy out. I know he's 34, but with the groin injury, getting older, I'm not going to say it's the end of his career, but it's certainly a fair thought and question to ask.
Look, he hasn't missed a game due to injury since 2016, and over the course of his career, he's been a healthy dude, right? You just hope that this is, and I don't know, we'd have to get Dr. Mel's thoughts on this. Is a clean tear better? Blah blah. Yeah, I don't know any of that stuff. Is the fact that he's having surgery actually a good sign, or I mean, obviously not in the short term for this team, but stuff that's way above my pay grade here. But I mean, up until. At some point, Father Time is going to get you. And I think the most concerning thing was when he came back on the field, and you just knew he couldn't run, and that one play was back off the field again, and he probably knew it at the time that something bad was wrong. So, look, he's under contract in 2024. So, the optimistic side of me wants to say he'll have at least one more season in him.
Yeah, I think he'll be back next year. Just in terms of the quality of the play, and is this kind of that age 34 season is where we see a lot of these guys go downhill. I had the stat that only 2 D tackles since 2000, age 34 or older, had 10 sack seasons, and those guys declined quickly after. It was Warren Sapp and John Randall, two Hall of Fame dudes, and right after that season, that kind of last gasp, they went downhill out of the league, pretty shortly after that. So I'm not saying that will happen with Hayward, but yeah, I mean, he's 34, pretty serious injury here. A lot of tread on those tires. Pittsburgh will have to begin thinking about the future post Cam Hayward. I'll put it that way. All right, back up to the questions and comments here. Raged EA2 says, at least we're not the Giants. For now, I was having that thought last night watching the Sunday night game. It's like that old, at least we're not Detroit, like that old Cleveland tourism video. That's how I was singing to myself last night. At least we're not the Giants, but it wasn't by too much. Ali221 says, is it time to move on from D-line coach Carl Dunbar after this season? Does not seem to have a good track record of developing talent. Rattles off guys like Loudermilk and Joshua Frazier and Quincy Roche. I like Dunbar a lot. I think he's done a good job developing these guys overall, working with the edge guys and the D-line. I know there's certainly been some guys that have not panned out, usually more day 3 type picks, but I think if you look at Highsmith's development and even the way that TJ Watt has grown under Dunbar and Tuitt getting better under him, et cetera, I'm not looking to fire Carl Dunbar.
Yeah, look at the pedigree too. I know everybody wants to look at, well, who has he developed past, I guess what year did Dunbar come on board?
I forget, 18 maybe, replacing Coach Mitchell, maybe 2018.
Well, yeah, so I mean, how many first or second round picks have the Steelers spent on their defensive line since he's been in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, and again, he coaches the edge guys too. At least really did this year. They kind of seem to break up the title, and Denzel Martin's now the official outside linebackers coach, but they all kind of work hand in hand. So yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to think about firing anybody right now. It's after week 1. Even Matt Canada, I'm not thinking about that right now. I'm just trying to figure out how week 2 is going to go. Dead Planet with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, it won't be easy, but this year's 2-6 turnaround moment needs to be condensed into yesterday's loss. They need to wake up now, not week 9. Yeah, in this very competitive AFC and AFC North, there's not much margin for error. You can't expect to be 2-6 and try to climb back in again the way that you did last year. So it's a fair point. And I think this game against Cleveland, don't want to call it a must win, but man, you really want to have this one, Dave.
Yeah, you do. And pay it if you're up late tonight at about midnight. Going to have an interesting post on what a loss to Cleveland would mean historically for the Steelers. That's all I'm going to tease it as right there. I know Alex knows what it's about, and I'm putting the finishing touches on that. But 0-2 this year with 2 back-to-back home games would be quite an unfortunate accomplishment.
Yeah, and check that post from Dave. That'll give you some more details dropping late tonight, early in the morning at midnight. Matthew T, another $5 super chat. Thank you so much. As I know the result of this game was much more than this, but just reassured me that Matt Canada won't ever be it. I'm sadly seeing 9-8 again. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Canada called a great game, but I do think the issues were more personnel and player related than scheme related. It falls on everybody. There's coaching mistakes. There's player mistakes. There's every kind of mistake happened yesterday. We'll see. Again, it is just one game. If they have a good game against the Browns, I think week 1 can fool a lot of people. And, you know, you've seen those examples all the time. The Bengals are having that conversation right now about who they are after their terrible loss. And you're going to see some of these teams bounce back. And hopefully Pittsburgh's part of that group. So I think week 2 is really the measuring stick for this team.
And look, you can go through that tape, and as you know, you can put a couple of play calls or what we think, were obvious, play calls on his part on him. I mean, that first jet sweep. Who's the guy, the old quarterback that has the quarterback school videos?
JT O'Sullivan.
Yeah, he's. What are we doing here? That's always his go-to. What are we doing here? You get the all 22 on that first jet sweep to Calvin Austin, and you see the personnel and you see what's going on there. Even if Freiermuth gave you a pancake on that play, there's no chance Calvin Austin's getting to that edge. So that, for the way they were lined up and the personnel both teams had on the field there, the better read was to if there's an option to hand that ball off, because you had the box count in your favor there, and that thing did kind of split a little bit at the snap there, was to probably hand that ball off to Najee if there was an option to do so.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there was. I got to go back and watch the play again. I saw you tweet it out, and yeah, that thing certainly had no chance. I thought the 4th and 4 call late in the game late in the third quarter, San Francisco's 8-yard line, just kind of this 4 verts, kind of bender, just against cover 2, just terrible. No, nothing horizontal, nothing in conflict. But I mean, Kenny was miserable. I think it kind of starts with him, and that leads us to our next question from a very emphatic Joey Jr., who says, Alex, please answer my one and only question. Why hasn't Kenny owned up to take blame and responsibility? Kenny did a lot of point blame at everyone but himself. I'm not entirely sure what comment that's referring to. I don't think Pickett was trying to deflect blame at all.
I didn't get that sense yesterday. No.
So maybe you interpreted something differently, and that's fair. That's your right there. I do want to ask you just really, really briefly, Dave, because we have a lot of questions to get to, but this whole George Pickens thing, like an anti-Pickett comment on Instagram last night, you have any thoughts here? Pickens, responding today and saying it was not, he pulled the Shaggy. It wasn't me. That's what he said.
Look, I haven't gone and looked at the post. I've seen the pictures and all like that. I will say this: the evidence, at least as it's laid out right there on the internet, and Lord knows everybody, we need to trust the internet. But I mean, all that aside, I'm joking there.
That's what Abe Lincoln said.
I don't think he's willing to take responsibility for hitting, what is it, the heart button on Instagram or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably scrolling through them, and I don't think at his core he's. I think it was a means of frustration and idleness on his part, probably scrolling through some of that stuff or whatnot. If indeed he did like that, that's obviously fans go through looking for that kind of stuff, and it's easy to bring to the forefront, especially after the team has a game like that. I mean, I would hope that it's not true, but my gut tells me that he liked it, and he's sorry that he did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know the truth for sure. Obviously, only he knows that. But his answer today was nonsense. It didn't do anything to downplay what might have happened. And I checked it myself. You see it on screen right now. It's a screenshot that I took checking it last night. It legitimately showed him or his account liking this comment. So there was nothing doctored. There was no Photoshop. And whatever Pickens had to say about you can't tag me, you can't comment, didn't make any sense. So I don't know what happened. Maybe he accidentally hit something. Maybe he hit something on purpose and is trying to just lie about it. I don't know. I mean, it's not going to be this issue. I'm going to talk about anything beyond this, but his answer today was nonsensical.
Can you butt like something?
I mean, you can accidentally like something while you're scrolling. I mean, I've done that before, but
Okay.
it seemed very much on the nose.
That's possible.
Yeah, I'm not saying he definitely did it, but his answer to today did nothing to, I think, dissuade me from my thought there. All right, let's get to Eugenio Rosetto says, Alex, are you worried about how the secondary plays and how Minka was used? I guess that means secondary played. Yeah, the secondary to me was my biggest concern coming into the season. I thought the cornerback group they had was solid, but did you have a top end guy? And I've always had some concern about Peterson being 33 in a man heavy scheme. Can he turn and run? And can he truly be an outside type of corner? And I thought Minka was probably using the box a bit too much. Still have to go through the tape on that. But overall, yeah, there's definitely concern with the secondary.
Wonder if they're going to turn to, at some point, more man stuff.
But can Peterson play in that?
Once Joey gets on the field, and that's coming sooner rather than later, too.
Yeah. I mean, who's coming off then? If Joey's coming
on? Probably Levi.
Probably, yeah. But do you try to bump Peterson to the slot more? Maybe he plays in every nickel package as opposed to just run down. We'll see. But yeah, the secondary has to be better. Another $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Matthew. That's more than enough, but we appreciate it. Says, sorry for the Canada remark. Can't help myself. Last question. What do you and Dave think about the inside linebackers based on game tape so far? Like everything else, not good enough. I still have to, again, on my tape studies, not as far as it usually is at this point, just a busy day with the Cam news. But yeah, I thought they were good in the summer. They were encouraging. But I've said for a while, I still don't believe Pittsburgh's long-term answers are part of this team at inside linebacker. And so hopefully their guy of the future is probably still in college right now.
Yeah, go get us one of those Fred Warners. San Francisco's got 3 of them according to the tape.
Ain't that true? He was everywhere, man.
I mean, look, the inside linebacker play was just, as a whole, you just call it average. Maybe a tick below average there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, again, you have to watch the tape and coverage. Not going to give you a ton there. But again, week 1, we'll see how the trend goes. One game does not make the season, good or bad. Seth B, I see Kenny pointing to playing second, third team defenses in preseason. Isn't it more because nobody game planned for preseason and now real coaching is happening? It's both and. When you're playing, obviously, backups, it helps. When you're not game planning as intently as you do during the regular season, that helps as well. When you're playing a top defense like San Francisco that you didn't see in the preseason, that's a factor as well. So I would say it's probably all the above there.
Mm-hmm.
Let me scroll back up and appreciate you guys being here. If you guys could like the stream, would really appreciate that. A lot of questions here today. I figured that there would. Where was my last position here? Chris Wade. Do you guys believe Fehoko is better run option at nose tackle than Adams? And what does Adams do best? Yeah, I mean, Fehoko's just an old school plugger. I mean, that's who he is. And he's not as athletic as Adams and doesn't have some positional flexibility that Adams has. But I think against the Browns, you want to bring up a guy like Fehoko to hopefully plug the middle and stop Nick Chubb in that Browns run game. So that might be the move there.
Yeah, I would seriously consider, and especially if Cam has to go, if the move to, I think that what they're probably going to do is they're probably going to get the second opinion on him this week, and we probably won't find out about the actual move until Sunday, right?
Or Monday.
Monday. Yeah. Monday, yeah. That might be when we see the actual moves take place, the IR move and the sign from the practice squad type move. Now, obviously, they could make it at any time, starting on Tuesday there. But I would not be surprised if you see Fehoko on the 53, Cam to IR, and then you just have to decide which one you don't dress, which might be Watts again.
Yeah, that's possible. Although you're doing the whole three nose tackle thing when you lose an end like Hayward, but that'll be an interesting question. Well, who is Liao going to be healthy enough to play? He may be hurt,
That's
and
another thing. Yeah.
that's more factors to consider. So we'll let it play out and see what Tomlin has to say tomorrow at his
And
press
do you? And
conference.
even if he's healthy and they're going to be a run centric
Yeah,
team, is he
fair.
the guy that you want out there?
That's a fair point. His run defense has never been his calling card. Showed some signs in the summer, but did not seem to be great yesterday. Marty Valdez, last year Mitch had a short leash. At what point does that end up happening to Kenny? So talking about could Pickett get benched at some point, Dave? Do you think if that is even in the cards this season?
It would have to be like that -7 or whatnot. It would take a ton for now. Is there a possibility he has like or you hope it doesn't happen, but a game where it's just, I mean, disastrous and they're getting blown out and he gets yanked out for the fourth quarter, and then comes back and starts the following week? I mean, that's the only way I would remotely think that something like that would happen. Uh, I'm sure they're expecting him to still have some growing pains into his second year. So I would be shocked if he got outright, benched as a starter moving forward this season.
And I don't think he should be. I think you have to start him as long as possible to find out as much as you can about him, the good and bad. I mean, if it got to a point where if the season was clearly over and Pickett was a big source of why they were a 4-win team by week 16 or whatever, then okay, maybe. But Pickett's going to be your guy this year. You got to find out if you have something in him or not, and so you got to play him. And so I don't think there's going to be a short leash. It's not the veteran behind the first round pick. This is the second year guy you're trying to explore, give him opportunities to grow, get better, learn from mistakes, and prove he can be the franchise guy. And so he has to have reps for that evaluation to occur. Let's see, Derek Dunn asking about calling up Fehoko. That certainly seems plausible. We'll see exactly what happens, but that makes a lot of sense given the injury and the opponent Pittsburgh is facing. Let's see, how would you describe when to blame the coaching and when not to? Seems like everyone defines it their way. Looked like San Francisco schemed their receivers open and we couldn't. Yeah, it's there's no quantifiable black and white. This is when it's coaching, this is when it's not, when we're on the outside like Dave and I are. I just define coaching as putting players in the best position to succeed. And if I don't see that, that's when I blame coaching. And how do you define that? Is it's a loose kind of moving target, but that's what I think the number one goal is coaching is putting them in position to succeed. And if you don't do that, that's when you fail.
Right.
Let's see. What else do we have here? John Pennington. Hello, Dave and Alex. Should Canada have made some kind of change to his play calling after he saw what the 49ers were doing? They may have. They didn't have the ball in the first half to make those changes, though. And by the time they get the ball in the second half and possess it, they're down, and the whole game plan kind of goes out the window. So they really just never had the ball enough for, I think, even changes to really occur.
Yeah, up until that final drive of the first half, they had run 15 offensive plays, 5 3-and-outs, and to their credit, they marched the field there in that 2-minute drive, and there's at least some semblance that you're going in with a little momentum there at halftime, having put a touchdown on the board at that point. Now, obviously, the defense turns around and gives up that long run by McCaffrey, and you might as well beat the crowd home at that point there. But once you got on into the second half of the third quarter and you're still down, I mean, they're going to play to keep the lid on everything on defense at that point, and that's when you're going to have to dink and dunk your way on down the field, and your run game becomes non-existent at that time. How many times did they even run in the second half?
Not including any potential scrambles, which probably weren't many. I mean, twice, maybe. They ran 9 times with their backs the entire game, so not much.
Right.
That's for sure. I think the 49ers had the blueprint of 8-man box, cover 3. You're going to stop the run. You're going to play cover 3, keep the corners off, and not get beat deep, and force Pittsburgh to try to go 10, 12 plays without a run game. Ask Kenny Pickett to do that kind of heavy lifting, and he could not yesterday. I got a question from, I'm going to apologize and probably mispronounce the name here. Deshaun Davis says, why won't Tomlin start Benton over Adams? Benton is clearly better, and when will we dust off King? He might be the best cornerback on this team. I mean, Benton played, and he's going to play. I'm a little less, interested in actual starters versus not starters, been seeing a ton of reps, and that will increase, post Heyward injury here. So I'm sure that official move may come at some point here sooner than later. I thought Adams did have a good camp overall. And yeah, Desmond King, I mean, do you play him this weekend against Cleveland, Dave?
I mean, where do you play him in the defense? In
the slot,
in the
maybe?
slot?
To help stop the run against Chubb?
I mean, it's possible.
I'm not sure.
Who do you sit? You're not going to dress. You go sit Sullivan, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's the one guy. I don't know any other option that you sit at this point.
The good thing about King is he is physical.
Yeah, and you signed him. You liked him for a reason. So, I mean, he's been with the team by Monday. It'll be about 3 weeks, so that's enough time to pick up the playbook, and they need some guys out there, that's for sure. Let's see. Consume the living. Is Kenny's top level just a gap quarterback, or can he be actually be Big Ken? I mean, we're still finding that out. I think the question on Pickett's always been the ceiling. I think I'll have an article for the morning on the site. This is a big moment for Kenny Pickett. Crappy game yesterday, totally sucked, but put it past you. You got to beat the Browns here. What kind of mental toughness do you have? What kind of resolve can you show? Can you bounce back and put together a winning performance? So let's find out a lot about Kenny. You said it, the first 6 games of the year. Let's find out about Kenny Pickett. We're in game 1. We got 5 left.
Yeah, come ask that same question in a couple more weeks. But you're right. Look, this is now quote unquote Kenny's team. Now you're coming off of a week 1 game where expectations were extremely high with this offense. They laid an egg on offense, and now not only do you have a week 2 game against a division opponent in the Browns. It's on Monday night. It's a national stage. It's all the talk's going to be, can Kenny bounce back and all like that. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot of focus on him. And if he lays another egg on Monday night, then a lot of people are going to come out of the woodwork then. So this is a big week for him, and obviously the Steelers too. But people will really start questioning if Kenny is the guy if you come out and have another performance like he had on Sunday.
Yeah, and understandably so. Pickett's not cemented as anything, good or bad, in his career. He's got, 13, 14 starts. You want to find out more. At the end of this year, I think you're going to start concluding, okay, what do we have here? What do we have to work with in terms of the future? But we're still, early in that process. Tim Chase, Dan Moore was horrendous at right tackle. What's our option if Chooks can't play? It was like 4 snaps. I don't know how much, we can really glean from that. He's not, played right tackle in a game before, but understand your point. If a core 4 can't go, though, I expect Moore to be the right tackle. Who else is it going to be at this point? I mean, Dylan Cook would be Spencer Anderson. A tough spot there for those guys to be in. They're going to want Broderick Jones to play, so I expect Moore to be at right tackle and Jones at left if a core 4 does not clear the protocol.
I agree.
Let's see, what else do we have here? A lot of stuff about Pickett on that sack. What else? Any other new person here? Verdon, Barzy. Anybody figured out what was the real issue with Pickett looking so bad? Jitters, he reverted back. Yeah, Dave, have you gone through the tape, all 22 more than me? Is there anything you can point to of why he played so poorly?
Who, on Pickett?
Yeah, on Kenny Pickett.
I mean, not enough to discern. I mean, he look, the accuracy was, I don't know the reason behind it. I mean, he was a little bit, looked like a little bit dancy with the, feet, as the game wore on. And, but on the flip side too, and I think he said as much as, you get to a point in that game where it's, you only live once, you trying to make some plays. Look, that second interception, I mean, he knew not to throw that ball, but he's just, he's trying to push the football down the field and make a play in that situation. Just a lot of bad decisions in that game, and when he seemingly made the right decision, a lot of bad throws. And then you have what happened on the Allen Robinson one early there. It seemed to me that he's probably expecting Allen Robinson to sit in that soft area of the zone. So I think you had a lot of things going on. I think you had not being completely on the same page on a couple of plays with your wide receivers. You had some questionable decisions on Kenny's part, and you had accuracy problems involved. So do I know what caused this, after such a great, I mean, look, and yeah, it's preseason, but he was doing some things that we wanted to see him do, even if it was against, vanilla coverages and all. So no, I don't have a reason why it happened. I can only look at what happened and say, this is what happened. You know.
Yeah, I mean, you could just hopefully it's just one of those games where you play long enough in this league. That's going to happen sometimes, and you hope that's all it is, not a pattern that emerges over time consistently. So, and the 49ers are a good defense, and they couldn't run the ball, and they become more one-dimensional, and that's not a position you want a young quarterback to be in. Mike Adesso with a good point. How about Mason Cole running down the 49ers player after the Tafunga interception and pitch? That was some excellent hustle. Yeah, kudos to Cole, pushing him out of bounds, saved a touchdown there. That's a guy fighting hard, and that's why he's one of the leaders up front. Let's see, what else do we have here? People obviously not happy with the coaches and the coordinators, all the things you would expect after a terrible loss like Pittsburgh had. Keith asked, did Desmond King get any snaps yesterday? He did not. He was inactive, and so he did not dress, and definitely, of course, did not play. Let's see, what else is there? Just a lot of venting here, as you would expect right now. Just trying to find if anyone has a particular question. Yeah, just trying to. Not sure if I see any questions right now. If you see something, Dave, feel free to chime in.
I don't know if I want to look at it.
Yeah, that's probably a good point. Honestly, I don't know if there's been a question in the last 100 comments or so. So we'll keep going.
Look,
though.
It was bad. I mean, it was bad. I mean, it was bad. On both sides. I mean, it was as complete of a team loss as you'll find from this team the last several years here, and especially, I thought, once again, I didn't think they'd win this game, but I thought they'd be in it. I thought we'd be talking about maybe a fourth quarter, couldn't get the final comeback, completed or something like that in this game. But I mean, it was bad on both sides of the ball. But I mean, look, if you're one of those ones that wants, I mean, I understand people get mad and want to blame the coaches and have people fired and all like that. But I mean, the chances of anybody getting fired during the season, coach wise, is very, very slim based on what this team has done in the past.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect it to happen in season. Again, it is just week one. I'm not trying to pretend yesterday was anything other than a mess and an abject failure, offense, defense, special teams, coaching, the whole 9 yards. But it is week one, and who knows what will happen by week 5. Let's see what the pattern is. Let's see what the longer view of the season is. Again, if they beat the Browns on Monday, I'm not saying they will, but if they do, then we're all happy. We're all saying, that's the 49ers. They're a good team. We're 1-0 in the North. We're 1-0 on the year. Playing the Raiders, we're playing the Texans. Let's go take care of business and do this thing. So let's just see how Monday night goes. All right, let's see what else we might have here. Bryan was in the chat and gave a couple of shout-outs to us and a couple of his Depot group chat diehards and Jared and Jakey. So thank you guys for being here. Dave and I will be here for just a little bit longer to answer any last-second questions that do come in. I just saw one a second ago. Kyle Smith, does anyone know what Pickens even did to get a personal foul call? It looked like he was only jawing. Personal foul on Wallace was weak. Yeah, Pickens must have said something. Sometimes there's certain words you can use that's going to get you the personal foul there. So it's probably something in the language as opposed to an actual obvious action.
Right.
Adam Guess, Adam's pad level is too high. Why is he a nose tackle instead of a defensive end? Yeah, he's an awkward kind of body type. I don't have a great answer there in terms of his whole path to become a nose tackle, but he's definitely kind of more of a penetrating guy than an old school two-gapper. Bryan, why did Joey Porter Jr. play so few snaps? He's in their dime defense, and the 49ers do not face many third downs and not many third and longs and could run the ball at will. And so Porter's playing in passing situations, and the 49ers did not have to pass much yesterday. Let's see. Why do drastic changes have to wait until the bye week? Dave, do you think that's even true in terms of the drastic changes?
Look, I think you do whatever you have to do on a week-to-week basis. What does he mean by drastic changes, like personnel changes and all like that? I mean, I think with some of these younger guys like Joey, and look, Joey Porter's going to, once again, he's going to start sooner rather than later. But you heard Mike Tomlin coming out of preseason say, basically we would have liked to have had Joey get more snaps in there. Now, obviously you were able to get Nick Herbig on the field for some snaps yesterday. You obviously got Benton on the field. Now, would Benton have played as much as he had played had Cam Heyward not that went down? I mean, would he have logged 29 snaps? No, but I mean, the necessity came in. The only reason Broderick Jones got in that game was because Chikoma Okorafor had to leave, right? So some of some. There's going to be changes as the season wears on. Heck, someone mentioned Desmond King. I wouldn't be totally shocked if we did see Desmond King get on the field this coming weekend here. I would like to think that they're going to make whatever changes they would feel necessary to other than bitching a quarterback or anything like that, to give them the best opportunity to win. But I don't know if it's ever written in stone that you have to wait until the bye week. Generally the bye week's related to quarterback changes,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the whole bye week changes are overrated and overstated. It's like halftime adjustments. These things get made as soon as possible, as opposed to let's wait until a quiet point in the game or the season. And you got an extra day here to play Cleveland, so more time to make adjustments. I don't expect to be substantial changes in terms of personnel and personality. Maybe, obviously the D-line situation, and I think King will probably get a hat, but it's going to be generally the same group, and they're going to let this thing go at least 2 weeks before deciding about changing up anything significantly. I had a question from Chris about starting Trubisky, more proven quarterback for Monday night. Nah, it's not going to happen. It's going to be Pickett. Again, you gotta sink or swim with this guy this year. Let's see what else we have here. A couple more questions. Faceless Man, is there a reason Deontay and Pickens were rarely on the field at the same time, particularly early on? I get the 2 tight end sets for power running, but we weren't even running the ball. I'd have to check what their snap counts were early in that game. I don't know if you have any recollection of their involvement, Dave.
How many times they had the 2 tight ends on the field?
Well, he's saying that Deontay and Pickens weren't on the field at the same time. If you're in 12 personnel, you still have 2 receivers, so they can both be out there. I don't know how much they actually played together and what that rotation exactly looked like.
Well, we don't have the offensive charting done yet, but I don't have recollection of many times if any of those 2 weren't on the field when at least 2 were out there.
Yeah, so I'll have to go back and check it. I really can't answer that there. Sorry, man. Tim Chase, another $5 super chat. Why does Highsmith disappear when needed the most? I mean,
if you look at the snap counts overall, Deontay did go out after only playing 27 snaps, though. So
right, I guess he's saying early in the game.
Okay, so I would have to go and look at what the snaps, and once again, we haven't gotten the charting done on the offensive side yet. Hold on a minute. Keep talking. I could probably figure something out here.
Yeah, just to answer Tim Chase's super chat. Why does Highsmith disappear when needed the most? I mean, again, I got to watch the tape. I thought he drew a holding call yesterday. The 49ers didn't get into a lot of and long situations. They stayed on schedule. They could run the ball. You're facing Trent Williams, a future Hall of Fame left tackle, so all those factors go in. I know the box score is pretty quiet for him. Watt's facing McKibbett's a much easier matchup overall, so I don't want to necessarily be too hypercritical of Highsmith given the circumstances of how Sunday's game played out.
All right, I'm seeing Deontay and Pickens on the field for 8 plays there. Another 3 here, that's 11. Another 2, that's 13. Another 2 here, that's 15. What else do I have here? 15. About it. And another one there, 16. I didn't do a detail, but it looks like at least 16 snaps. Both of them are on the field together. And
Johnson played 27, 28 total,
right.
He said. So, I mean, that's a lot. I don't think that's a rare thing there, so I'd probably disagree with the premise of that question that we had a moment ago.
Let me do one quick other search here, if they got these guys listed together here. 8 and 3 is 11. 11 and 4 is 15, 16, 17, 18, 19.
Okay, so yeah, they were on together quite a bit before Johnson got hurt. Sean951, Niners, don't be surprised how hurt the Steelers are. We do that to every team. This is a Niners fan, obviously. Last year, No team won the next week after we played them. Good luck Monday night. Yeah, that's a good stat. I remember that stat floating around last year about San Francisco. So we'll see if that streak continues. Hopefully not, but good win and good luck to you guys the rest of the way.
Hold on here. I think I missed one here. 8 and 3 is 11. 11 and 3 is 14. 14 and 4 is 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. What did I say? 22 out of how many snaps did I tell you Deontay
28
played?
Or 26,
right?
Something like that. So yeah, most of them.
Right.
Let's see. Simon Egoff, how did Casey and Neal look? Not good enough, not that great overall. Neal barely played in the second half. They were kind of rotating pretty early then late in that game, and it's not like, Neal's typically the run situation safety, and the 49ers were, of course, up and running the ball, and Neal really still was not playing. So what does that mean? We'll watch it and continue, evaluating that, but just the only note I have there is that neither were that good, and Casey was playing a lot more late in this game.
All right.
All right, maybe just one or two more questions. Let's see what we have here. I just saw one a second ago I do want to get to. Matthew T. If Dan Moore keeps this up, how long until we see Broderick? I don't know, man. It's hard to say for sure. Let's assume Jones stays at left tackle. You're going to see a good deal of Myles Garrett. Although Garrett moves around. Garrett's not just the static guy he kind of used to be. So it's going to be a both sides interior type of thing with Myles Garrett. They're tough matchups. We knew they would be tough matchups. So I'm just taking it 1 week at a time. Let's see what the health of a core 4 is and take it from there.
Yeah, and then what do you do with Dan Moore? Let's assume Chukwuma. People were begging for Chukwuma Okorafor to get benched not too long ago, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you got Crosby coming in week 3, and I think he predominantly rushes from their left side, right? Same side as T.J. Watt does. So. Pick your poison you want defending against him.
Yeah, and then you got Will Anderson at Houston in week 4. I mean, there's good pass rushers everywhere right now. That's the way this league has gone because everyone knows you got to get after the quarterback in this pass-happy world. Raphael says, Alex, you mentioned that Kenny struggled with accuracy within 10 to 15 yards in camp. The 49ers defense game plan was that from this morning's podcast. How can we be successful? It's hitting those. It's as Tom would say, doing the routine things routinely, hitting the curl, hitting the crosser. Just kind of hitting your layup. That's going to force defenses to be more aggressive and try to take those things away. And so it's really just kind of not hurting yourself, not turning the ball over, making bad decisions, being accurate, being on time, running the ball a bit better. It's nothing. I don't have any analysis of this game so far, and probably won't at all, even after watching the all 22. That's going to blow your mind. Like they just couldn't do anything. I mean, in terms of just turnovers and just taking care of the football and just sloppy play overall. So it's just doing those things that they did last year, the second half of the season, that won them a bunch of games they didn't do against the Niners.
And he was 1 of 7 on throws of more than 15 or more yards down the field too. That's probably not gonna win you a lot of ball games.
What was the one completion to Deontay? What are they counting as the completion? Robinson?
Maybe the Robinson one late, wasn't it?
Okay, so he didn't get one until the game was over.
And I think the other stat I have on that, I think Brock Purdy was like 5 of 6.
I believe it.
On that distance.
Yeah, I believe it. Brian Jonker, why not run McFarland much more? I mean, he's third string back. He played some offensive snaps and pass, concept situations, some fourth down type kind of specialty plays probably designed for him. But you got Harris, you got Warren. Those guys are gonna play. Should Pittsburgh have kept Josh Dobbs? I mean, we could, play these games forever. He's starting out there in Arizona. I mean, really doesn't matter too much probably at this point there, James. Do we have any other left? Will the Browns take a page out of the 49ers playbook on defense to stop the Steelers? I mean, we'll see. I mean, their MO is to rush the passer and, be pretty aggressive up front. So that's kind of a 49ers type of thing. But yeah, I mean, Jim Schwartz, new DC, good start to them. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, he's a good DC too. Yeah. Been around a while.
Yeah. All right, Dave, I think we're going to probably wrap things up right now. Probably not a ton of questions. Actually, do want to mention here kind of something that I've talked about as well, and I agree with Kyle. Why do the Steelers keep trying to move Minka around? When has it ever worked out? He's best keeping a lid on. Yeah, I mean, I need to watch the tape some more, but he played in the box a ton. He was blitzing a lot. I just don't think that's the way when Minka wins and defense doesn't win whenever they kind of try to get too cute with this guy close to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, you want to get him in situations where he can spin down and rob, or just play up over the top in middle of cover three, or deep cover one, or cover two. Give him opportunities where the ball's flying around down the field.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, he can tackle. I think it's an underrated part of his game. I'm just saying, if you look at different games, the Raiders game 2 years ago when they try to move him around and play slot in different alignments and just kind of be in a free safety with some flexibility from there, it just doesn't go all that well, but, we'll see how they handle it against Cleveland. All right, Dave, we're going to wrap things up. You guys can see an archived version of this on Steelers Depot in just a little bit. Great crowd on hand tonight. Appreciate the support despite the unfortunate loss. We'll come back in a couple of weeks and hopefully have a better indication of where this team is headed, hopefully in a much better direction than where it's going right now after one game. So, Dave, as always, thank you for being here and answering questions alongside myself.
My pleasure, and you do a good. The natives were restless tonight, so you did a good job at handling them. And peace and love to everybody. Thank you for showing up tonight.
All right, thank you guys so much. We'll be back here in a couple of weeks. I'll have some breakdowns and a bunch of film rooms on Steelers Depot for you guys to check out, so be sure to watch those as well. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys, and we'll talk to you soon.